LeBron James is unquestionably one of the greatest basketball players to ever touch the court. So why then is there so much hate? Let's talk about it. But before we talk about it, if you could do me a huge favor and hit the like button, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. It only takes a second and it helps us out greatly. First things first, LeBron James is also one of the most popular athletes of any sport of any generation. And there always comes a certain amount of hate just by that mere fact alone. I think it was Kobe Bryant who once said that hate is a good thing because people don't hate the good ones. They only hate the great ones. Now, this video is also not a hate piece on LeBron James. It's merely a video to ask why is LeBron James, a player with such a remarkable basketball legacy and a track record of humanitarian work, why is he so hated on by so many people? Now, I used to be a LeBron James fan. I can remember first seeing him being covered by ESPN and Sports Illustrated as a high school player. I was actually intrigued. I had hoped that the Detroit Pistons would win the lottery and draft him. Even when the Pistons ended up with the second pick that year, I had some hope that some miracle would happen and Cleveland would, for some reason, not pick him. It seemed like every year, sport outlets would talk about the next Michael Jordan. And this time it felt that it really could be true. I watched him his first few years as he seemed to live up to the lofty expectations. And I specifically remember Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals against my Detroit Pistons when he scored the final 25 points for the Cavs in a victory, which is quite possibly still the most impressive performance I have witnessed. Like I said, I was a fan. That is until I wasn't a fan anymore. Which brings me to the first thing that people often criticize LeBron James for. LeBron James' The Decision was a 1-hour special broadcast on ESPN back in 2010 in which he announced his decision to leave the Cleveland Cavaliers and join the Miami Heat. And this is where everything changed for me, as well as many other basketball people around the world. The whole spectacle of him announcing his free agent choices on national TV just seemed very disrespectful, not only to the NBA itself, but to Cleveland Cavaliers fans in particular. While James, the basketball player, continued to be great, the egotistical James was a pattern that seemed to continue. What is the definition of a narcissist? Now, a narcissistic personality disorder is a mental health condition in which people have an unreasonably high sense of their own importance. They need and seek too much attention and want people to admire them. Does this sound like something that LeBron James possibly possesses? Now, don't get me wrong, the NBA is a very egotistical type of sport to begin with. A lot of people have their egos. But what is the difference between the ego of, say, Michael Jordan and LeBron James? And the only reason I pick Michael Jordan is because that's the one people often compare him to. Now, Michael Jordan obviously was very confident in his abilities, but whenever asked about things like the greatest of all time, he was always very humble in his responses, refusing to ever be called the greatest of all time because he thought that that was disrespectful to the players that played before him. Now, LeBron James has numerous times in interviews and games and things like that referred to himself as the GOAT or says that he is the greatest. I mean, he was the one that actually came up with the nickname King James. He has tattoos on him that says Chosen One and Gifted Child. He repeatedly speaks to himself in the third person. There's also been complaints or allegations that when he speaks on many of the social issues that he speaks on, a lot of people are indicating that that's fake, that he doesn't really share those beliefs, that he is really not knowledgeable in some of the things that he talks about, but he does it specifically for PR-related purposes, to feed his ego and to get attention drawn to him. We've seen numerous times throughout his career when, if he doesn't win a championship, it always seems like there is some out of court or out of basketball type of situation in which he has to make himself the center of attention, whether it be retirement rumors or trade rumors or just different things that he tweets about. It definitely seems like the attention is always focused on him. Another critique I often hear people complain about with LeBron James is that I hear many people indicate that they think he is whiny. Now, you can see through these various clips of all the times that he whines to the refs, often in a very exaggerated fashion, which is nothing new, not just for LeBron James, but anytime you watch the NBA, everybody is whining to the refs. It's actually gotten to the point where it often makes it difficult to watch NBA games because of that. But because LeBron James is the biggest player in the league, when he whines to the refs, it does absolutely get critiqued. I think the biggest issue that I have when I watch the whining to the refs is it always seems to be where he's down there complaining to the refs about a no call that he didn't get, but then the other end of the court, he doesn't go back on defense and often leaves his team down a player playing defense. But it's not just the whining to the refs, it's whining outside of the game as well. Throughout his career, I've heard him complain numerous times about not getting enough help, despite many people believing that he's built super teams everywhere that he's gone. He's often picked top-tier players to come play alongside him, often facilitating or causing the GMs to facilitate trades, often people that he's requested, and yet you still hear him complain about not having enough help. And it's one of those situations where it seems like whenever a LeBron James team fails, it's because he didn't get any help. But whenever a LeBron James team does well, everybody seems to say it was because of LeBron James. One of the things that also I remember really bothered me was I remember the first year that they did the play-in tournament, and I literally heard him talk about what a great idea it was and how it gives teams opportunities to make the playoffs, and it was exciting. And then that very next year, when his team was one of the teams that were actually going to have to play into the play-in tournament, he actually makes some statement about whoever came up with that needs to be fired. So it's those type of complaints and whininess that I think really leaves a bad taste in people's mouth. Another one of the issues that I've heard people critique LeBron James for is the issue of flopping. Now, LeBron James has become known as one of the bigger floppers in the NBA, often given the nickname La Flop by other people. Now, obviously, flopping has become a major issue in the NBA, with the NBA just recently instituting new rules to help combat against flopping, which I think is a very good thing because the flopping has absolutely become ridiculous and makes it hard to watch games oftentimes. And so with LeBron James being one of the bigger names in basketball and also being known as one of the bigger floppers in the NBA, that obviously is going to draw attention to him. Now, just recently in the playoffs this past year, when Steve Kerr complained not of specifically LeBron James, but of the Lakers maybe getting away with some flopping calls, LeBron James was quick to not only deny that he is involved in any type of flopping, but also went on to make the claim that his team or none of the teams that he's ever been on has been a part of that or has flopping as part of their game. Now, of course, nobody's going to come out and say that I'm a flopper and yes, that I flop. But it's clear from the evidence and the videos that we're playing here that LeBron James absolutely flops with the best of them. That he often exaggerates contact and oftentimes does things that could really irritate just the casual fan of somebody that hates flopping. Now, LeBron James is unquestionably one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He's one of the greatest athletes of all time. So, like mentioned earlier, that automatically comes with a certain level of people that are going to hate on that. Now, if people want to complain and say that they don't like LeBron James because of any basketball-related skill, now that's just ridiculous. He's one of the greats. His skill is undeniable, and anybody that absolutely uses that as the criteria for why they do not like LeBron James is in fact just being a hater, and it would be hard to take anything that they say serious. But if somebody says that they don't like LeBron James for one of the reasons that was mentioned here in this video, now that's understandable. Like I said, he oftentimes has some of the characteristics of a narcissist, and it's hard to like a narcissist. So that would be understandable. I'm not saying that he is a narcissist, and I'm not saying that it is okay to hate on an individual because, like I said, he is a great basketball player. But when we're breaking it down and getting to the fact of why do people hate LeBron James, it's because of those issues that we've relayed here in this video. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, like I said, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Like I said, it'll help us out greatly. And leave a comment. Let us know what type of videos you would like to see next. Thanks for watching.